Today I'm using squid and shrimp. If you're fishing 2 rods, keep one of them in your hands all the time. Well, I got something on here. Hey, it's Greg here with Outdoors on the Cheap, and I'm out here fishing for some flounder off a pier. And I thought I'd do a video on the finer points of pier fishing for flounder, or even surf fishing for flounder, really, because they're kind of the same thing. The main thing is that you can get into water that's deep enough and it has the right conditions to hold flounder. It's middle of May, almost late May, like May 23rd or something like that. And where I live, Nova Scotia, Canada, May, June, generally speaking, is a good time to fish for flounder. That's when they come from being offshore. They come into the bays to spawn. I'm in a bay right now, and I'm at a spot where flounder can be caught. They can't just be caught anywhere. You have to have the right conditions on the bottom. And the best way to figure out where to catch them is to drive around and see where people are fishing for them and watch those people. I'm on a pier here, and there's a spot over there. No one ever catches them over there. No one ever really catches them. You can catch the albin in that direction. This direction is where people tend to catch them. Sometimes in this direction. If you cast towards there, you won't catch them. And you can see there's a buoy out there. Unfortunately, I think it's a lobster pot. Great thing to hang up on. But over there must be the sort of bottom. I'm guessing it's a sandy or muddy bottom. Although I've caught flounder over gravel, it doesn't really matter. So anyway, I guess for whatever reason, they're over there. Or, I mean, the open ocean is that direction. It's a bit foggy today, but maybe they're coming in to spawn somewhere. And this is just a spot they go by on their way in. Okay, so yeah, number one is just watch what people are doing and copy them. Look at what baits people are using and copy them. You can go online, that can be useful, but it's regional, right? You can be watching someone catch flounder in Australia. Doesn't mean it's going to work where you are. Or watching someone in some part. I live in Nova Scotia, Canada. You're watching someone in a southern part of the United States, or Alaska, or something like that. It just doesn't always hold up. The same baits don't work. Same techniques don't always work. Also, when people make YouTube videos, they tend to only make the videos when they're crushing it. I've had lots of YouTube videos where I've gone out to make a great video and I haven't caught anything. And so I got like an hour's worth of footage of me just sitting around hypothesizing about why I'm not catching any fish. It never makes it on YouTube. I might cut that down to 5 minutes because it is part of fishing, but who wants to watch a video of a guy wondering why he isn't catching anything? You want to see success. So I think a lot of YouTube videos, although they can be instructional and you can learn a lot, the people tend to be having more success than might be reasonable. But also, I guess it can be the case if you're at the right place at the right time, that sort of thing, that can help. Another important thing is to me, you want to be fishing the 3 hours before tide, 3 hours before high tide, 3 hours after high tide, or even you can extend that to 4 hours. The hour that straddles high tide tends to be pretty slow, which is coming up soon. If I don't get some tackle in the water here, I think high tide is about an hour and a half from now, give or take. So, it's probably going to die off a little bit. You can still have action at high tide, but it's the tide working the way up, working the way down. When there's movement in the water, everything gets going. That seems to make things happen. Another thing, if you're fishing off the bottom, different from fishing off a boat, there's many different rigs. I've had the most luck with this sort of thing called a paternoster rig, where you got a weight on the bottom. I've read lots of stuff about saying the weight should be yellow, it attracts flounder. I've been out fishing lots of times with other guys. I'm using yellow. They're just using plain old lead. They're having more success. So if it matters, I don't know how much it matters, but it certainly matters that you're casting to the right spot where they are, and you've got the right bait that they like. Today I'm using squid and shrimp. I've seen people catch fish with both. I think clams are great. If you can catch some sort of minnow, that's great too. I mean, flounders are predators. They'll basically attack anything. But certain baits are more successful than others. Fresh bait's better than sort of a rotten bait, right? I think they like shrimp more than squid, but squid stays on so well. I'm running 2 rods. Always good to run two rods, because you think of you're going to catch more fish with the rod in your hand and you're focused on it. So you can think of the rod you're holding on to as the expert's rod. And imagine if you brought a buddy who didn't know anything about fishing. That's pretty much what having a second rod sitting in a rod holder is. It's like having another person with you that doesn't know what they're doing. So, you know, if the rod's in your line of sight when it's getting a bite, right, you can grab it, almost like if you had a buddy. Look, you got a bite, come on, set the hook, right? So having the second rod is like having an extra person along that doesn't know what they're doing, and you can take over. Or sometimes the fish just hook themselves, right? So especially if you're fishing for food, right, it is handy to have two rods. But I would say if you're fishing two rods, keep one of them in your hands all the time. Which leads me to another point. At least for someone my age, it's handy to have a seat, something to sit on. Okay, you know, depending on where you are, you might have to carry that. But if you have a seat, nice comfortable place to sit, you're going to be less fatigued, and you can be more focused on what you're doing. So anyway, that's about it. Also, I find with this Paternoster rig, I have the best success when the weight is about, almost like the difference from your thumb, if you stretch your arm out, the difference from your thumb to your chest, right? Whatever that is, right? So like 24, 27 inches, that sort of thing, right? That way your bait is up off the bottom, but it's close to the bottom. Remember, when you cast out, it's on an angle, right? So anyway, that's about all the little tips I can give. I'll probably mention more as they come to mind. Also, small hook, right? There's different kinds of hook for fishing flounder, but flounder have really small mouths and they're really good at stealing bait. They have very gentle bite. So I would say use a hook with, you know, think of the distance between the tip of the hook and the actual, whatever that's called, the shaft. I wouldn't go much more than a 1/4 inch, right? The hook can be longer. This is a relatively short hook. Longer hooks are better because you can put more bait on them. I think they're called a Carlisle hook. But this distance here between the tip and the back, right, or whatever that, there's a name for that. I'm just not, let's call it a shaft. There's this particular name for that long part of the hook, but that distance should be about 1/4 inch, 8 millimeters, something like that. Should be small, okay, in my opinion anyway. All right, let's beat up and get fishing. Got something on here. I had to wait almost 20 minutes for this to happen. Very small flounder. I'll let this guy go. Well, I got something on here. Whatever this is, it's got a little size. Definitely bigger than what I've been catching. Decent flounder for once. There we go. Not bad. I'd like to get a few more of these. Yeah, get about 4 or 5 of these. I'll have a decent meal. So I kept that guy on a double hooked rig, but consistent with my theory, yeah, that one took the shrimp. See this one here, I got a squid and a shrimp on the same rig. Now with the 2-hook rig, you get twice as much bait, right? And you can try different baits. Of course, it's more likely to snag up in the seaweed or some crap on the bottom. There's always that risk. This is not a good rig for a beginner, right? Because they tend to reel too slowly when they retrieve and they drag it along the bottom. and they'll lose a lot of gear. The idea is that if he ate the shrimp, maybe go back for the squid, still hungry, you know, felt safe because he got away with stealing the shrimp, go back for the squid and get caught because the squid stays on so well. Another little trick I like to do, putting on the shrimp. See, I cut the shrimp in half lengthwise. Right, you see that? Put a piece of shrimp on, like that. Then you put a little tiny piece of squid at the bottom, almost like a rubber stopper, just to hold it on, right? Makes it more visible. If they take a bite, they get the taste of the shrimp, right? I find it's just a good way of keeping the shrimp on. You might get a couple extra bites before it comes off with that approach. Anyway, we'll send this out and hopefully we get another one. Got another one here, doesn't seem quite as big as the last one. Not quite sure what it is. Oh, this is a white hake. Yeah, white hake. So these are completely edible. They're kind of an eel-like appearance, but they got these long barbels like a catfish. And almost the head of a trout. Looks very similar to a trout's head. Anyway, these are completely edible, but I don't like them. I find the meat very soft. Oh, he's gone. Yeah, I'm not a fan, so I'll let that guy go. From everything I read, they're a deep water fish, but they come in to spawn this time of year. I was a little bit disoriented when I let him go. You see he's swimming on his back there. He wiggled and got himself free from my hand, but bonked himself off the pier here. So having a bit of trouble with balance. And if he doesn't figure it out soon, he's going to get picked off by a seagull and ain't going to be spawning with nobody. So, come on, man, get it together. Very disoriented. Yeah, I was going to let him go gently, but he wriggled out of my hand and got bonked off the concrete. He is not going to last long like that. A seagull's going to get him. I can't say enough for an active management of the rods. It's very difficult. You know, he kept very busy with 2 rods for sure. But if you're holding a rod, you'll detect way more than watching a rod in a rod. You know, I got little rests here just jammed in with the pilings, right? Watching a rod and holding a rod are not the same thing. Right, holding a rod, you'll detect more. You'll detect little vibrations, little rubs, little things. There might be things that don't even register, but for some reason your senses get activated because there was a slight vibration that your hands received, and it just got you to focus and pay attention to the tip of the rod. There is a lot to be said for just holding the rod and being active. Okay, I'm gonna set that down. I'm getting a bite on this one, so I'm gonna see if I can. There we go, got him. Seems to have a bit of size. More like, or maybe not. Or maybe he's just coming with me. Hit hard at the beginning. Now it's like there's almost nothing on there. Oh, there he is. Just coming with me, that's all. Oh, it's a sculpin, that's why. No, it's a flounder. It's a small one. Look at the bottom of the fish though. This tells you, right? It's on muddy bottom there, sandy muddy bottom. But definitely not enough fish to keep. Not big enough in my estimation. Here we go. Good luck, man. Well, I am out of bait, but I can reuse this, I guess. Try to get another. Well, that proves, I mean, that was just 100% squid. And proves that they will go after squid for sure. Although that wasn't one of the big ones. Anyway, that's it for today. Not a bad haul. 5 nice flounder. Definitely enough for a good meal. Well, hope you found this interesting. If you did, please like, share, subscribe, and until next time, enjoy the outdoors on the cheap.